Hello, ladies and gents. My name's Captain Andy, not Captain Obvious, but I've often found that given the tyranny of second-class minds on the internet, stating the obvious is something of a necessity. Case in point, why Steve Shives should not waste his time debating Sargon of Akkad. First off, the purpose of a debate is not to educate the other person. I simply cannot stress this enough. Your opponent in a debate is not your teacher, and as such is not there to teach you. If you haven't already educated yourself on the subject at hand, then you have no business expecting anyone to entertain your desire for a debate. Sargon has to date made over 500 videos, a fair whack of which have been on how much he doesn't like feminism. Yet here he is asking Steve to educate him on the subject. It really should go without saying that this is arse backwards. Educating yourself on a subject is what you should do before you set about making hundreds of videos on said subject. Anyone who can't figure that out clearly has no interest in educating themselves on the subject. There are a number of videos on YouTube that explain the basic concepts of feminism for the layperson, which I know for a fact Sargon has seen given as he has chosen to respond to them. If he can't understand those, which is the case, then he is not going to understand any of the books he is apparently reading on feminism. It's not just the case that Sargon doesn't understand, he doesn't want to understand. Every minute spent trying to explain something to such a person is a minute wasted. A minute that could have been spent talking to someone whose ears are actually open. My next point I want to make has to do with the audience. The audience for this debate would not be made up of keen minds looking to be intrigued, rather it would be made up of ignoramuses looking to be entertained. The majority of Sargon's subscribers do not understand the purpose of debate, as evidenced by their preemptively declaring Sargon to be the victor. Zinnia Jones once made the point that in an argument one should not fixate on winning. I could not agree more. A debate is about finding an area of legitimate controversy within a topic and exploring it, putting the differing perspectives on such a controversy through the rigour of scrutiny. A debate is not about your ego versus someone else's ego. That's what internet flame wars are for. Until this can be understood, any debate on any subject would be completely lost on the audience in question, and would be a waste of time. Sargon's subscribers don't want debate, they want ponage. Another important point I need to make is that, with no disrespect intended to Steve, feminist discussions should not be dominated by men. One thing I've noticed about male feminists on YouTube is that they can often end up challenging male anti-feminists in a manner that plays into toxic masculinity, i.e. accusing each other of never getting laid or what have you. This is something we need to advance beyond. If Sargon wants to understand feminism, he should try shutting his fucking mouth for a while and listening to what some feminist academics have to say. And I do stress listening to, not responding to, not reacting to, but actually listening to. An objection Sargon might raise is that he didn't challenge Steve to a debate, rather a conversation. But given, as I mentioned earlier, Sargon's fans are already declaring him the victor of this debate, Sargon might want to reflect on how well his message is being received by his audience. Regarding this charity business, this is nothing more than a thinly veiled threat. When Sargon says he'll donate $1,000 to a charity of Steve's choosing if he agrees to debate, what he's really saying is, if you don't do what I want you to do, I will make you look uncharitable. Thankfully, only an idiot, or in this case 100,000 idiots, would fall for this. What Sargon does with his money is up to him, not Steve. Ergo, whether or not his money goes to charity is on Sargon, not Steve. I also find it intriguing that Sargon, someone who has gone out of his way to tell us all about how evil and scary and dangerous feminism is suddenly willing to give $1,000 of his money to feminism. Personally, I would never in a million years give an anti-feminist group like A Voice for Men so much as a penny of my money, no matter what I might have to gain personally. With that in mind, I find myself wondering if Sargon in reality doesn't really see feminism as much of a problem at all. Thanks for watching. Comments on this video will remain open for so long as conversation at least resembles something remotely close to civilized behaviour. The moment people start being abusive is the moment comments get switched off. If you don't like that, feel free to kiss my ass.